Hello, sports fans. It is Tuesday, September the 22nd, the year 2015. And as always, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. Great to be back with you guys as we are ready for NFL Picks Week number 3 and College Football Picks Week number 4. Hard to believe we're in the 4th week of college football already. Where did this month go? September's already gone. How fast does the football season go? I tell you guys all the time, enjoy football while it's here. It goes really fast. Each game is very, very precious. By the time we get to Thanksgiving, college football is basically over and we're heading into the bowl games already. So enjoy football while it's here. Without further ado, let's go to the NFL Picks Week number 3 in the league where they play for pay. And I'll tell you, it was a wild and woolly week last week in the NFL. I mean, teams that were just dreadful in week 1 responded in week 2. I mean, it was just some wild and woolly stuff. That's why the NFL is so hard to predict. It's a week-to-week league. You never know what you're getting from these teams week to week. Oakland, who looked so bad in week 1, looked really good in week 2. Same thing with Tampa Bay and Jacksonville and Cleveland and Washington, and the list goes on and on. Hard to get a feel for these teams. So many of these teams are equal. That's what the NFL wanted. They wanted a lot of parity. They got it. All right, pick number 1. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here for the Thursday night game, where the New York Giants are -4 against the Washington Redskins. Of course, the Giants are 0-2. They blew 2 games. They had the lead in the 4th quarter to Dallas and Atlanta. Washington 1-1, lost to Miami in week 1. Had a nice bounce-back win against the Rams last week where they really stomped all over the Rams. To me, when I look at this spread, I go, why are the Giants favored by 4 over anyone the way they played the first 2 weeks? I mean, the way they've let the lead slip away, all the mistakes and the turnovers and the penalties and just all the bad play. We know they're not a great defensive team either. And Washington last week, I'll tell you, they showed me something. Washington the first 2 weeks has given up 10 points and 10 points. That's good, solid defense. They found a running game last week. They stomped all over the Rams. I thought they'd miss Jackson at wideout, but they got a real good running game going. When you can run the ball and you play good defense, good things are going to happen. I mean, I thought Cousins played well last week. This is another classic NFC East game. They're always close, whether it be Giants-Dallas or Dallas-Washington. They're always close games. I think it's going to be a close game here. I think it's a field goal game either way. The way the Redskins have played defense the first 2 weeks, the way they ran the ball last week, I'm going to take Washington +4 here. Now listen, do I think the Giants can win? Absolutely. I think it's a field goal game either way, but I just don't trust the Giants giving up 4 points after what they did the first 2 weeks, letting those leads slip away. And I've said it a million times, I don't love this Giant defense. I mean, I have not liked them the first 2 weeks in the 4th quarter. They let big leads slip away. So I don't love this Giant defense. I think you can do some things against this Giant defense, and I like what I see from the Redskin defense. Only gave up 10 points to Miami, only gave up 10 points to St. Louis. In this day and age in the NFL, that's fabulous. Found the running game. I think defense, running game keeps them in the game. I think it's a field goal game either way. I think it's a classic NFC East battle. I'll take Washington +4 in the Meadowlands. That's pick number 1. All right, let's go to the Sunday games. Pick number 2, let's go to St. Louis. Here is a tough game. The Pittsburgh Steelers are -1 against the St. Louis Rams in St. Louis. What a tough game this is. Steelers lost their opener to New England, made a million mistakes, then bombed San Francisco. St. Louis had the opening day win against Seattle, looked really good, then fell flat on their face last week against Washington. I mean, they didn't show up at all. Washington mashed them. I think Pittsburgh gets their running back back this week. Listen, we know Pittsburgh can score. They can score on anybody. They're going to have a dynamite offense. They really are. They're going to score a lot of points. Just a matter of how many stops they're going to get. You don't know about the secondary. Love to see those young pass rushes for Pittsburgh step up this year. That would really help the defense. St. Louis, I was really high on them week 1. I was really high on them in the preseason. I did not like what I saw from them last week at all. I'm going to take Pittsburgh here because I know they can score. The jury is still out on St. Louis, what they're going to be. Only had 10 points last week. Jury's still out on St. Louis. I'd love to pick St. Louis here, but I'm going to take Pittsburgh because I know they're going to at least score a bunch of points. St. Louis, Don't know what you're going to get from them right now. They were kind of up and down first 2 weeks. So I'm going to take the Steelers. This is a brutally hard game. I could see you going the other way on this. I'll take the Steelers here, -1 in St. Louis. I think the Steelers get a lot of points in this game. Let's go to Minnesota for another tough game, where the Minnesota Vikings are -2.5 against the San Diego Chargers. Both teams come in 1-1. Minnesota had the nice bounce-back win last week against Detroit after they had a terrible game against the Niners. San Diego lost to Cincinnati last week after they beat Detroit in Week 1. This, to me, has like 26-24 written all over it. Who has the ball last? Typical Charger game. Maybe Phillip Rivers has the ball last with a chance to win the game. Chargers didn't have a lead all of last week, so I think they, if they get in front this game, maybe they can do some things. I think this is a very tight game. Like I said, 26-24 somebody. Last team to have the ball is going to win. Could see the game going either way. When the game can go either way, I usually pick the underdog, so I'm going to take San Diego here, +2.5 at Minnesota in another brutally tough game. 26-24 somebody. Last team to have the ball is going to win this game. Very tough game. Matter of fact, the first 3 games, very tough. All right, let's go to pick number 4. Let's go to Houston, where the Houston Texans are -6.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Houston 0-2 on the year, have not looked good at all offensively in the first 2 weeks. I mean, have not been able to run the ball at all. Foster, they think he will play this week. Chance he plays, that would be a big lift for Houston. Get that running game going, take the pressure off the young Mallet. Maybe you can do some things on offense. The defense is going to be there for you. Tampa Bay, the tale of 2 games. Tampa Bay got obliterated in Week 1, 42-14 at home by Tennessee. And then they pretty much laid it on New Orleans for much of the game last week in the Superdome, and Winston looked really good. To me, I still can't trust Tampa Bay with the rookie quarterback going on the road. And I know Houston hasn't looked all that good in the first 2 weeks, but they have to beat Tampa Bay at home. With Foster coming back, this could be the week where J.J. Watt, has one of these wild games where, he sacks the quarterback, returns a fumble, he does something crazy, gets 3 sacks. This could be the game where Houston's defense just dominates Tampa Bay and, dominates Winston. Winston throws a couple of picks. You get Watt in there with a fumble recovery. This could be the game where Houston's defense really dominates. You get Foster back. They get that running game going. I still don't trust Tampa Bay on the road. Houston, if you're going to do anything this year, you have to beat Tampa Bay in your building. I'll go with Houston. I know it's 6.5. I know Houston's 0-2, but with Foster coming back, that Houston defense, I still don't trust Tampa Bay. I'll take Houston -6.5 at home against Tampa Bay. That is pick number 4. Pick number 5. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here again, where the New York Jets are -2 against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Jets had an impressive win last night against the Colts, 20-7. Defense dominated the game. Colts have all sorts of issues. Jets looked really good. They're going to be much improved on the defensive side of the ball. Fitzpatrick, who I don't love, avoided the big turnover. He was economical. Marshall did some nice things on the outside. Decker played well. Keep an eye on Decker. He has an injury, may not play this week. This line swung. Philadelphia opened as a 2.5-point favorite. When the Jets won last night, the Jets became a 2-point favorite. Listen, I never thought at the beginning of the year I'd do this. I got to take the Jets here. They're the more together team right now. They're home. They play good, solid defense. They had a nice running game. Philadelphia, I don't know what they want to do, what they are. They looked lost last week against Dallas. They just looked completely lost. You got 0-2 Philly here. The Jets are 2-0. The Jets have the better record. I think the Jets are going to win this game with their defense. I think their defense is, their calling card. They're a solid defensive team. Philadelphia looks lost. We thought Philadelphia would score all these points. They couldn't move the ball against Dallas last week. Couldn't do it. Couldn't move the ball from here to there. Turnovers, mistakes, penalties. What a messy game that was. At least I know with the Jets, they're going to play good, solid defense. They're going to have the running game. They are home. I don't know what I'm going to get for Philadelphia. So right now, and I never thought I'd say it, I trust the Jets more than I trust the Eagles, and that's hard to believe. I'll take the Jets at home in the Meadowlands, -2 against the Eagles. The Eagles are going to have to show me 1 week before I take them. All right, so that's pick number 5. Pick number 6, Carolina at home, -9 against New Orleans. Carolina is 2-0. New Orleans is 0-2. Now, this spread has gone off the board. It went from -6 to -9. We don't know if Drew Brees is playing. Drew Brees now has an injury, so he may not play. I saw this game was off the board in a couple places. I saw it opened at -6. Now it's -9. Listen, Carolina's going to win this game. Carolina has a good defense. They're home. And New Orleans, I don't trust them at all anymore. I mean, they couldn't beat Tampa Bay at home. I mean, I don't like anything about New Orleans anymore. So regardless of what the spread is, I'll take Carolina. I mean, spreads could be a little high at 9, but I don't trust New Orleans. Now, Breeze may not play. I mean, you got to be kidding me. So I don't trust New Orleans at all. I'll take Carolina at home. That is pick number 6. Pick number 7, let's go up to New England, where the New England Patriots are -13.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. New England 2-0. They keep doing it year after year after year. Jacksonville 1-1 showed me a lot last week, beating Miami after they played a dreadful game against Carolina in Week 1. Listen, I know Jacksonville won last week. I can't take them here. I just can't. I know a lot of people are going to grab the 13.5 points. New England scores so many points and they're home. I can't trust Jacksonville. I mean, I just can't take a team that I don't think has any chance of winning, and I don't think Jacksonville has any chance of winning here. I know the number's high at 13.5. I know Jacksonville won last week, but New England scores so many points. They scored 40 on Buffalo last week, up in Buffalo. To me, New England's going to score their points. I cannot take Jacksonville on the road here. I cannot do it. I will take New England -13.5 against Jacksonville. It's a big number, but I got to stick with the Patriots. Let's go to pick number 8. Let's go down to Baltimore, where the Baltimore Ravens are -2.5 against the Cincinnati Bengals. Baltimore 0-2. All sorts of issues. They got shredded by the Raiders last week. Suggs out for the year. Baltimore's got all sorts of problems. Cincinnati 2-0. They're off to another one of their hot starts. This is another game, just like the Jets in Philadelphia. I trust Cincinnati more now. I just do. I know what I'm going to get from Cincinnati. I don't know what I'm going to get from Baltimore. And I know this is their home opener. I know they're going to be desperate. I know they usually get it figured out. They're great at personnel. I love the coaching staff. I love Newsom in the front office. They usually figure it out. I did not like the way Baltimore played last week. They got torn up by the Raiders. And without Suggs, I don't like that defense. I think this is a slug it out, just smack you in the face type of game. This is going to be like a 21-20 game, someone. I'll take Cincinnati here. The game could go either way. I think it's close, though. I just trust the Bengals right now more than the Ravens. I don't know what I'm going to get from Baltimore right now. Cincinnati +2.5 against Baltimore is pick number 8. Pick number 9. Oh boy, let's go to the dog pound in Cleveland, where the Cleveland Browns are -4 against the Oakland Raiders. Both teams come in 1-1. Both teams were dreadful in Week 1. Both teams were good in Week 2. Manziel quarterbacking Cleveland again. Oakland Carr looked good with those wideouts last week. Oakland looked like they could put up some points. I don't know what's going to happen in this game. So when I don't know what's going to happen, I will take the points. I will take Oakland +4 in the dog pound. Always dangerous taking the Raiders on the road because you can never trust them. But I don't trust Manziel in Cleveland either. Manziel stayed away from the turnovers last week. I don't know if he can do it 2 weeks in a row. I know he played decently last week. I'm still not ready to jump on the Manziel bandwagon. I'm going to take a shot here. This is probably a messy game between two subpar teams. I think it's a field goal game either way. Always risky taking the Raiders on the road. This game could blow up on me in a second, but I don't know what's going to happen. When I don't know what's going to happen, I'll take the underdog in the points. I'll take Oakland +4 in the dog pound in what should be a mess of a game between two bad teams. I'll just grab the underdog there. So Oakland +4 in the dog pound. Pick number 10. Let's go to Tennessee, where the Indianapolis Colts are -4.5 against the Tennessee Titans. Indianapolis 0-2 and could not play two worse games. They looked atrocious against Buffalo, and they looked just as bad last night against the Jets. They are a mess on both lines. They're taking a lot of injuries. Vinatieri's now missing chip shot field goals. Gore's fumbling at the 1-yard line. Luck's throwing interceptions all over the place. Indianapolis had 5 turnovers at home last night. 5 turnovers. You're not going to win that way. Luck's throwing a lot of picks. Tennessee, listen, they looked good in week 1, didn't look so good last week. This is their home opener. Again, I don't know what's going to happen here. What are we going to get from the Colts here? I mean, Tennessee, they should be really fired up for this home opener. They're getting 4.5. Again, I never thought a couple weeks ago I'd go this route. I'm going to take Tennessee here plus 4.5. They're home. They at least showed me something in week 1. The Colts have showed me nothing on either side of the ball in 2 weeks. They look like a complete mess of a team. Sure, they can win this game. Absolutely. Would it shock anyone if the Colts, won this game big? No. But until the Colts do it, I can't take them. I'm going to take Tennessee at home here, plus 4.5. We just don't know what we're getting from Indianapolis right now. Let's go to pick number 11. Here's another tough game. And by the way, there are some brutally tough games this week. Let's go down to Dallas, where the Atlanta Falcons are -1 against the Dallas Cowboys. Atlanta 2-0, had 2 nice wins against Philly and the come-from-behind win against the Giants. Dallas also 2-0, beat the Giants in improbable fashion, then played really well despite the injuries last week against Philadelphia. Showed a lot of grit on defense last week. I mean, nice gutty win for Dallas last week. We know Romo's out. We know Bryant's out. I am going to take Dallas here. Kind of like my theory with Notre Dame last week when everyone was picking Georgia Tech. And, Notre Dame had all these injuries and, everyone thought Notre Dame's season is over. I'm going to go that route with Dallas here. You saw last week without Bryant, Dallas can still win. You saw even when Romo went out of the game, they had the better of the play. I think with that big offensive line, they can protect the quarterback, Whedon. He'll find guys open. That offensive line means so much. With a nice offensive line, they're not going to touch Whedon. Going to be able to get that running game going. You're going to be able to find some open receivers. Atlanta's defense may be a little improved, but I don't think it's lights out. Dallas's defense impressed me so much last week, the way they battled against the Eagles. Atlanta, I still don't think they're all that great of a road team. Remember, the Giants had them down 10 in the fourth quarter. Could have went up by 17. Then Eli fumbled. That kind of flipped the game. I think Dallas is going to be really pumped up for this game. Everyone's writing them off. The season's over. Romo's out. Bryant's out. You guys can't win without these guys. I think that's going to get them really fired up for this game, just like Notre Dame last week. I think Dallas is going to rise to the occasion here, and they're going to win this game. I think Dallas wins this game. Now listen, Dallas is going to take their losses in the next 2 months. They're not going to win all these games. But here, right now, I, for some reason, like Dallas. I think they're going to be really fired up. I think that offensive line is going to be able to protect the quarterback, going to be able to find some receivers. Atlanta's defense is not all that great. Maybe improved, but it's not great. Atlanta on the road, I still don't trust them. I think Dallas is going to be fired up for this game, and I think Atlanta may play down here. I think Atlanta's going to be like, oh, no Romo, no Des Bryant, we walk in there and win easy. I think Dallas has the psychological edge in this game. I think Dallas pulls the upset here. I like Dallas +1 against Atlanta down in the Big D. Let's go to pick number 12. Let's go to the desert in Arizona, where the Arizona Cardinals are -6 against the San Francisco 49ers. Arizona 2-0. I was high on Arizona from the beginning. They bombed the Bears last week. Niners up and down. Blew out Minnesota, then got blown out in Pittsburgh. I like Arizona here. I've been telling you for weeks I think Arizona can make the playoffs. I think they can make the playoffs. I think they can win this division. With Seattle struggling right now, I think Arizona has a chance to win this division. With Carson Palmer back and Fitzgerald finding the fountain of youth, I like Arizona. They can do some things on defense. I like Arizona here. Now, I still don't trust the Niners. We still don't know what we're going to get from Kaepernick on a week-in, week-out basis. Don't know what you're going to get from that offense. Pittsburgh just torched that Niner defense last week. I like Arizona here in the desert. I think Arizona is the better team, the more complete team. I know, again, what I'm getting from them. I don't know what I'm getting from San Francisco. I'll take Arizona -6 against the Niners in the desert. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13, let's go up to that madhouse in Seattle, where they have some of the best fans in all of sports. The Seattle Seahawks are -14 against the Chicago Bears. Seahawks, really, really struggling right now. 0-2, had 2 tough losses against the Rams and the Packers. Bears look like a complete mess, 0-2. Listen, I know the spread's 14. Cutler's not going to play. I can't take Chicago here. On the road in that madhouse where the Seahawks never lose. The Seahawks, a desperate team, have to win this game. I think Seattle's due to pace somebody. I think they paced Chicago. I think they lay the wood on Chicago in this game. I like Seattle big in this game, like, I don't know, 34-13 or something. Seattle lays the wood on Chicago, takes their frustrations out on Chicago. Seattle gets in the win column. I like Seattle -14 against the Bears. That's pick number 13. Pick number 14, let's go down to Miami, where the Miami Dolphins are -3 against the Buffalo Bills. Another brutally tough game. Both teams come in 1-1. Miami lost to Jacksonville last week. Buffalo lost to New England. They got outplayed much of the game, had a late rally. I think, again, this is one of these 24-23 games. Last team who has the ball is going to win. This game's coming down to the last drive. It could go either way. I mean, the interesting part of this game is the loser's going to be 1-2 and not feeling great about themselves. Remember, both teams had pretty high expectations. I am going to go with Buffalo here. I think Rex Ryan is going to have the troops riled up after that loss last week. The way, his defense gave up 40 points last week is not going to sit well with Rex Ryan, who's a defensive coach. I think Buffalo plays better on defense this week. I think the quarterback plays better, does a lot of scrambling, makes some big plays downfield. Miami's going to do some things as well. I think this is a tight, razor-thin game, 24-23 somebody. I'll take Buffalo +3. Very, very tough game. There is a lot of tough games in the NFL this week. That's pick number 14. Pick number 15, let's go up to Detroit. I believe this is the Sunday night game where the Denver Broncos are -3 against the Detroit Lions. Denver 2-0, had two Houdiniacs the first 2 weeks. Were down most of the game against Baltimore, rallied to win that game without even scoring an offensive touchdown. Should have lost to Kansas City. I mean, Kansas City handed that game to Denver. 5 turnovers, including the fumble at the end. Kansas City did everything wrong in that game, but give Denver credit for battling. The defense comes up with big plays when they need to. Denver has a good pass rush. They have good corners. The running game hasn't been great this year, but I think it's going to pick up. They got the wideouts. Manning, even though we think he's getting older, he's still going to be able to do some things. It's typical Denver in the regular season. It's typical Manning in the regular season. They're going to go 13-3. You know it. Detroit's 0-2. Look like a mess. Can't stop anyone. Couldn't do anything on offense last week. I don't trust Detroit at all. I think this is the best bet of the week. I can't believe this spread is only 3. To me, this spread should be at least 7. When I first looked at it, I thought it was 13. I had to take a retake. It's only 3. Denver is light years better than Detroit. I understand it's Detroit's home opener. What has Detroit shown you in the first 2 weeks that makes you think they're going to beat Denver? Denver always finds a way to win games in the regular season. You saw that the first 2 weeks, and those were against good teams, the Chiefs and the Ravens. Detroit is not even as good as those teams. I think Denver, this is the best bet of the week. I like Denver -3 against Detroit. I don't see any possible way how the Lions win this game. They have showed me nothing on defense. They're going to stop Denver in that offense. I don't see it happening at all. I like Denver in a big way. Best bet. Bet this game twice. Denver -3 against Detroit. That's pick number 15. Pick number 16. Let's go to the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field for the Monday night game where the Green Bay Packers are -7 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Green Bay 2-0 and looking like one of the favorites out of the NFC to get to the Super Bowl despite the loss of Nelson. Green Bay looks like a solid team. Kansas City 1-1. They look like a good team to me. They let that game against Denver completely slip away. Listen, I can't go against Green Bay, especially when they're playing at home. I just can't. I know the spread's a little heavy here at 7. I know Kansas City's a decent team. I just don't like going against Green Bay. They don't lose at home. Aaron Rodgers never makes any mistakes at home. Hasn't thrown an interception at home in 3 years. That's insane. Green Bay is going to get their points. I don't trust Kansas City after what I saw last week when they had 5 turnovers and they just messed up that game completely. I have to take Green Bay here. To me, Green Bay is one of the best teams in the NFL. They're home. I can't go against one of the best teams at home. I just can't do it. I cannot go against Aaron Rodgers here. I know the spread's a little high. I can't see the Chiefs actually winning this game. So I'll take Green Bay here, -7 against the Chiefs. That's pick number 16. So in review, let's go through it one last time. The Thursday night game. I like the Washington Redskins +4 against the New York Giants in the Meadowlands. The Sunday games. I like the Pittsburgh Steelers -1 against the St. Louis Rams in St. Louis. I like the San Diego Chargers +2.5 at Minnesota in a white knuckler game, comes right down to the end. I like the Houston Texans -6.5 at home against Tampa Bay. I think Foster and the defense carry the day for Houston. I like the New York Jets at home -2 against Philadelphia. I just trust the Jets more. I like their defense. Don't know what I'm getting from Philadelphia. I like Carolina at home against New Orleans. We don't know what the spread is. We don't know if Breeze is playing. Whatever. Carolina wins this game no matter what. Pick number 7, I like New England at home, -13.5 against Jacksonville. I'm just not ready to take Jacksonville against a team like New England. Can't do it. Pick number 8, I like Cincinnati +2.5 at Baltimore. Baltimore looks like a mess to me right now. Cincinnati looks more together. Another, very razor-thin tight game. Could be a one-pointer. I'll take Cincinnati there. Pick number 9, I'll take Oakland +4 at Cleveland in the dog pound. Don't know what you're going to get from either team. When I don't know what I'm going to get, I take the underdog in the points. I'll take the Raiders there. Pick number 10, I'll take Tennessee at home, +4.5 against Indianapolis. Never thought I'd take this game. Never thought I'd take Tennessee. Can't trust Indianapolis right now. They have been dreadful the first 2 weeks. They look absolutely awful on both lines. Can't score, can't do anything. I mean, they looked as bad as any team in the league the first 2 weeks. I'll take a shot with Tennessee. Home opener, getting points. Tennessee +4.5 against the Colts. Pick number 11, I'll take Dallas at home, +1 against Atlanta. I think they'll be fired up for this game. Everyone's writing them off. The season's over. You can't win without Romo. Can't win without Bryant. I like the way the Dallas defense played last week. They got that offensive line. That means a lot. They're going to be able to protect the quarterback. Receivers will get open against that Atlanta defense. Get a running game going. I still don't trust Atlanta on the road and on a consistent basis. I'll take Dallas here. I'm taking a shot. I'll take Dallas +1 against Atlanta in the Big D. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12, I'm taking Arizona -6 against the Niners. I just like Arizona better. I think they're a better team. Niners, they're still up and down. Kaepernick's still up and down. I trust Palmer more than I do Kaepernick. I'll take Arizona at home, -6 against the Niners in the desert. Pick number 13, I'm taking Seattle -14 against the Bears. I mean, what else do we need to say? Seattle is desperate here, need a win. They're home. No Cutler. I mean, Clausen quarterbacking the Bears are awful. Enough said. Pick number 14, Miami -3 against Buffalo. I'm taking Buffalo +3 down in Miami. I think this is a razor-type game, razor-thin type game, 1-point game either way. So I'm taking the Bills +3 against the Dolphins. I like Denver -3 against Detroit. That's pick number 15. I think it's the best bet over the weekend. I don't like what I see at all from Detroit. I think Denver is just better, light years better. Denver -3 against Detroit. In Detroit, best bet of the night. And pick number 16, the Monday night game. Green Bay at home, -7 against Kansas City. I cannot go against one of the best teams in football with Aaron Rodgers at home. Can't do it. I know Kansas City's a decent team, but when you turn the ball over 5 times last week, I don't trust you. I'll take Green Bay -7 against the Chiefs in Lambeau. So that is your week number 3 picks for the NFL. A lot of tough games in the NFL. There was some brutally tough games that could go either way. A lot of games are going to come right down to the wire. Very tough games this week in the NFL. All right, without further ado, as I'm losing my voice, let's get to college football, week number 4. I have a lot of picks for you. Not a great week in college football as far as the matchups. There's not a lot of great matchups between top teams this week. I mean, there's only like 1 or 2 games that are really, really good games, but there's not much going on in college football this week. I do have a lot of picks. Not a great week in college football as far as the matchups, though. Let's get it going right now. Let's go down to Fayetteville, Arkansas. The Texas A&M Aggies are -7 against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Texas A&M is 3-0, and they look really, really good. Have the new defensive coordinator. Like what I see from Texas A&M. Arkansas is going the other way. They're 1-2. They lost to Toledo and Texas Tech at home and didn't look good doing it. I think Texas A&M is way better here. I know Arkansas's got those great fans down there in Fayetteville. Won't be enough, though. Texas A&M is so much better than Arkansas this year. Arkansas lost at home to Toledo and Texas Tech. Texas A&M is better than both of those teams. I like Texas A&M -7 against Arkansas down in Fayetteville. That's pick number 1. Pick number 2, let's go to South Bend, Indiana, where the Notre Dame Fighting Irish are -27 against the UMass Minutemen. Notre Dame 3-0, had the big win last week against Georgia Tech. UMass is 0-2, got blown out by Colorado, lost to Temple last week at home. I can't take UMass here, just can't do it. I mean, UMass is only playing been playing Division I football for a couple of years. Notre Dame should have their way in this game. Notre Dame's backups have all played well. Notre Dame has a lot of team speed. They're home. UMass can't handle this type of game. This has 49-10 written all over it. Notre Dame minus 27 against UMass. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3. Let's go up to Eugene, Oregon, where the Oregon Ducks are minus 14 against the Utah Utes. Oregon 2-1, had the heartbreaking loss to Michigan State. Utah 3-0, looked pretty good this year. Listen, Oregon's already taken a loss, so they can't afford any more slip-ups. They can't. They got to basically run the table now to get back into that, national title contention. They had a tough loss at Michigan State. They battled back late in that game, fell a little short. Oregon always runs it up big in Eugene. And Utah, very good home team, always plays well in Utah, a little spotty on the road. Being the games in Oregon, the more desperate team here, they already have a loss. They got to really impress the rest of the year. Quarterback coming back this week. Oregon always puts up big numbers at home. I like Oregon to roll in this game, run it up against a good Utah team. I like Oregon minus 14 against Utah. Oregon at home in Eugene always puts up big numbers, and they have to here. They already have a loss. They have to, play very well the rest of the year to get back into that Final Four conversation. I like Oregon here, minus 4 against Utah. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4. Let's go to Tempe with USC Trojans are minus 6 against the Arizona State Sun Devils. Both teams come in 2-1. USC got bombed by Stanford last week in the Coliseum, where they couldn't stop Stanford on any possession. Arizona State 2-1. They lost at home. They lost a neutral site game to Texas A&M week 1. This to me is got shootout written all over it. Two teams that can't stop anybody. Arizona State usually plays very well at home. They're usually bad on the road. They usually play very well, at home. Being USC can't stop anyone, and I'm getting 6 points. I'm going to take Arizona State. Now, I don't know if Arizona State's going to win the game, but I think they're going to at least hang in the game. I think this is like a 49-45 game. Somebody, Arizona State at home with that offense and getting 6 points. USC couldn't stop Stanford at home. I don't like teams that play no defense, especially when they go on the road against a decent team that can move the ball. I don't trust USC giving up 6 points. I'll take Arizona State plus 6 in Tempe. Pick number 5. Let's go to Madison, Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Badgers are minus 24.5 against the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. Wisconsin 2-1, lost to Alabama. Hawaii 2-1, lost to Ohio State 38-0. Listen. You know this about Wisconsin. Anytime they're home in Madison and they play a team like this, they are going to roll and roll big. They're going to put up big numbers. They're going to win like 56-10 in this game. Wisconsin should roll over Hawaii. Hawaii's good at home. Once you get them to the mainland, they don't play as well. That's a tough trip, Hawaii to Wisconsin. They're losing a lot of hours there. Tough flight. Very hard trip for Hawaii. That's not good against a Badger team that plays very well in Wisconsin. Wisconsin will look to run it up here against Hawaii. Wisconsin could put up 56 in this game. I like Wisconsin in a big way. Wisconsin minus 24 against Hawaii in Madison. That's pick number 5. Pick number 6, let's go to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where the Alabama Crimson Tide are minus 38 against Louisiana Monroe. Alabama 2-1. Had the heartbreaking loss to Mississippi in just a wild game where Alabama self-destructed, had 5 turnovers. Louisiana Monroe lost to Georgia 51-14. It's going to be that type of game here in Tuscaloosa. Alabama, after the loss, now they know they can't afford any more losses, any more slip-ups. They are going to look to lay the wood on Louisiana Monroe. They will win this game comfortably. They'll win this game like 59-0. This game will be over at the half. I like Alabama to rebound. Alabama minus 38 against Louisiana Monroe. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go to Oxford, Mississippi. The Grove with the Ole Miss Rebels are minus 25.5 against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Ole Miss had the amazing win against Alabama. Ole Miss is up to 3 in the polls. Not that I look at the polls right now. I get into that later on in the year. But Ole Miss, make no mistake about it, one of the best teams in all of college football. Vanderbilt 1-2. This is their first road game. In a couple of their home games, they only scored 12 and 14 points. That's not going to get it done when you go to Ole Miss. You put up 12, 14 points at Ole Miss, you're going to lose by a boatload. Ole Miss is going to roll in this game. Vanderbilt cannot hang with Ole Miss. Ole Miss is good on both sides of the ball. Good quarterback, very good receivers, good defense. Ole Miss picks their score in this game. Ole Miss minus 25.5 against Vanderbilt. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8. Let's go to East Lansing, Michigan, where the Michigan State Spartans are minus 27 against Central Michigan. Michigan State is 3-0. They're looking like a Final Four team. They're going to have a monster matchup at the end of the year against Ohio State. That's going to determine a lot. Central Michigan 1-2, lost to Syracuse last week. Michigan State beat Air Force last week, but they didn't run up the score. You never run up the score in a service academy. Coaches don't like doing that. But now they're going to look to run up the score on a rival here in Central Michigan. They're going to be like, listen, Central Michigan, you're not us. You're not Michigan State. You're coming into our house. You're a little guy. We're going to just pound you and send you on your way. Michigan State will roll in this game. They will pound Central Michigan. They didn't run it up against Air Force. They'll run it up here. Michigan State minus 27 against Central Michigan. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Nebraska Cornhuskers are minus 23 against Southern Miss. Nebraska 1-2, lost on a Hail Mary to BYU, then lost in overtime to Miami after they had the great comeback. Southern Miss is 2-1. They lost to Mississippi State. They did win last week, but they gave up 50 points in doing it to Texas State. That's not a good omen when you go to Lincoln, Nebraska against an angry bunch of Huskers. And you can see my theme for this week. A lot of underdogs covered last week, covered a lot of big spreads. This week, I think it goes reverse. I think a lot of big teams are looking to lay the wood on some of these lesser teams. Nebraska is just looking for someone to pound. Southern Miss gave up 50 points to Texas State. They're going to give up 56 to Nebraska, no doubt about it. Nebraska rolls in this game, takes out all their frustration on Southern Miss. I like Nebraska minus 23 against Southern Miss in Lincoln. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10. Let's go to the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, where the Ohio State Buckeyes are minus 31 against Western Michigan. Ohio State is 3-0, beat Virginia Tech, but then has just been sleepwalking the last couple of weeks. Western Michigan is 1-2. They lost to Georgia Southern 43-17. Let me say it again. Western Michigan lost to Georgia Southern 43-17. That's not good when you go to the Horseshoe against the best team in college football. And I think this is the week Ohio State wakes up and comes out of their slumber. They've been sleeping for a couple weeks, and now everyone's getting on them in the media. I think Urban Meyer settles on a quarterback this week. I think he gets their attention this week. I think they play their A game this week after a couple sleepwalking performances where they didn't cover the spread against lesser teams. I think they show up in a big way here, and they pound a Western Michigan team that got bombed by Georgia Southern. Ohio State at home, minus 31 against Western Michigan. That's pick number 10. And then pick number 11. This is the game of the day. This is where college game day is. It shows you what a light schedule it is this week. The UCLA Bruins are minus 3.5 at Arizona in the desert in Tucson. Both teams come in 3-0. UCLA came back and beat BYU by a point last week, hung on and won, had the big interception late. Their freshman quarterback did not play well last week, had 3 turnovers, but they were still able to win the game. I love Arizona in this game. I'm taking Arizona. They're home. I'm getting 3.5 points. I didn't like what I saw from UCLA last week. Now, I know they got the win. The freshman quarterback played like a freshman, had 3 turnovers. You do that at home, okay, you can get away with it. You do that on the road in a hostile environment against Arizona, you're going to lose. I like Arizona here in a big way. I think the wrong team is favored here. I think they're going to be all fired up in Tucson, getting a game day. They never thought they were going to get a game day, game this year. So they're going to be all fired up for this game. I like Arizona to win this game. Upset UCLA. I like Arizona plus 3.5 against UCLA in Tucson. That is the game of the day in a light schedule in college football. A couple other games you might want to keep an eye on that I did not pick. Tennessee at Florida is always a good game. TCU at Texas Tech, that has all the makings of a 63-56 game. Cal at Washington, interesting game. Cal's been putting up a lot of points. Oklahoma State at Texas. What's going on with Texas? They lose a game last week because they can't make an extra point. LSU Syracuse. Keep an eye on that game. LSU is a huge favorite. Syracuse down to their 3rd quarterback. LSU had a nice win last week. Do they come in sleepwalking to this game? You'd expect LSU to pound Syracuse. Keep an eye on that game, though, too. And the LSU running back is lights out good. All right, so not much going on in college football as far as big games. UCLA Arizona is your big game. Oregon, Utah, that's a decent game as well, but there's not much else going on in college football. I guess TCU, Texas Tech is decent as well. But anyway, let's review my picks for Week 4 of college football. Pick number 1, I like Texas A&M -7 at Arkansas. I like Notre Dame -27 against UMass at Notre Dame. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, I like Oregon at home in Eugene to roll over Utah. Oregon -14 against Utah in Eugene. Pick number 4, I like Arizona State +6 against USC in Tempe. Pick number 5, I like Wisconsin at home -24.5 against Hawaii. Hawaii on the mainland, that doesn't work out too well. Pick number 6, I like Alabama at home -38 against Louisiana Monroe. Alabama off a loss, they're looking to pound somebody. Pick number 7, I like Ole Miss at home in the Grove -25.5 against Vandy. Vandy cannot hang with Ole Miss. Pick number 8, I like Michigan State at home -27 against Central Michigan. Michigan State rolls it up this week after not rolling it up last week against Air Force. Pick number 9, I like Nebraska at home -23 against Southern Miss. Nebraska 1-2. They're looking to lay the wood on someone. Oh, Southern Miss is perfect for that. That's pick number 9. Pick number 10, Ohio State at home -31 against Western Michigan. This is the week Ohio State wakes up. And pick number 11, I like Arizona at home in the upset in the game of the day. Arizona +3.5 against UCLA. That's where College Game Day will be. I think Arizona pulls the upset in Tucson. I think they storm the field after that game. So that is your picks for week number 4 in college football. Not a lot going on in college football. A couple decent games, but there should be a lot of routes. Now, last week there were a lot of big spreads. A lot of the underdogs covered. I think this week it's going to be the opposite. Some of these big teams are going to finally wake up, and they're going to look to pound some of these little teams. So I think this is a week for the favorites in college football. All right, so there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. You have your NFL picks for week 3 in a very tough week in the NFL. You have your picks for college football in week 4. Not too much going on in college football. UCLA, Arizona, you must watch of the weekend. You guys are all set. You guys are all ready to go. I hope you guys pick a lot of winners. I hope you guys make a lot of money. Now listen, a lot of people ask me, how I bet. I'm picking a lot of these games, but obviously I'm not going to bet all these games. I'm not going to bet all 16 NFL games. And I don't usually like, playing parlays or teasers. I usually pick one game, to bet heavy on, and that's probably going to be Denver for me this week. I like to pick, single games and bet them, and, pick one game here, one game there. I'm not a big parlay guy, not a big teaser guy. I tend to pick, one or two games each week. Pick, games that I think are my best bets. So I'm going to, bet Denver heavy this week. I think Denver is going to be the game I really look at. But like I said, I don't pick like 3-team teasers and 3-team parlays and 14 teasers and all that kind of stuff. I bet single games. I just pick a few of them out. But I pick all the games for you here every week. But I'm not going to bet myself all 16 NFL games. Same thing with college football. Out of the games I gave you, I'll pick out a few of them. But there's so many games in college football, you can't bet them all. All right, so there you guys go. There you guys are. You guys, by the way, you bet your own way. Don't listen to me. You bet your own strategy. You like parlays, you bet that way. You like teasers, you bet that way. You bet however you want. I'm just giving you some guidelines here. Okay, so there you go. You guys are all caught up. You guys are all set. Pick a lot of winners this week. Make a lot of money. You guys stay happy, healthy, and safe. I'll be back with you very, very soon, and we'll recap it all. Take care.